How can someone become the voice of a nation when speaking is their greatest fear? For most people, public speaking is difficult. For one king, it was a daily struggle. Many doubted his ability to lead. Some believed he was unfit for the role. Even he questioned whether he could do it. But when his country needed him most, he faced the challenge head-on. His name was George VI. And the king many underestimated would become one of Britain's most respected leaders. Before we begin, thank you for coming back and spending a few moments with us today. Tonight's story is about a king who struggled to find his voice, yet became a symbol of strength when his nation needed him most. So settle in, and let's step back into history. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next one. George VI was born in 1895 as Prince Albert Frederick Arthur George. Within his family, he was simply called Bertie. At birth, no one expected him to become king. That role seemed destined for his older brother, Edward. As the second son of the future King George V, Bertie appeared likely to spend his life supporting the monarchy rather than leading it. In many ways, he preferred it that way. From an early age, Bertie faced challenges that would shape his entire life. He was naturally shy, reserved, and often uncomfortable in public settings. But the difficulty that affected him most was his severe stammer. Speaking could become an exhausting struggle. Simple conversations sometimes turned into ordeals. Public appearances were even worse. Every speech carried the possibility of embarrassment. The early 20th century was not a particularly understanding era regarding speech disorders. Many people misunderstood stammering completely. Some viewed it as nervousness. Others saw weakness. Few appreciated the complex combination of physical, emotional, and psychological factors involved. As a result, Bertie often faced frustration rather than sympathy. His childhood was also shaped by the expectations of royal life. Discipline within royal households could be strict. Emotional warmth was not always abundant. Historians have noted that George's relationship with parts of his upbringing appears to have been challenging. Whether through pressure, criticism, or constant scrutiny, he grew up carrying a significant burden of self-doubt. Yet despite these struggles, Bertie possessed qualities that people sometimes overlooked. He was hardworking, responsible, and deeply committed to duty. Unlike some public figures who enjoy attention naturally, Bertie often had to work deliberately to overcome his fears. That effort would become one of his defining characteristics. As a young man, he served in the military during World War I. Although health issues limited some opportunities, the experience exposed him to the realities facing ordinary citizens and soldiers. Like many members of his generation, he witnessed a world transformed by conflict. The war left lasting impressions on countless people. George was no exception. After the war, royal responsibilities increased. Public appearances, ceremonies, speeches, official visits. Each one required something Bertie dreaded: speaking. Again and again, he found himself standing before audiences while battling a condition that made communication incredibly difficult. Many observers saw only the hesitation, the pauses, the struggle. They rarely saw the effort behind it. One of the most painful moments occurred in 1925. Bertie delivered a speech at the British Empire exhibition at Wembley. The broadcast reached listeners across the empire through radio. For someone with a severe stammer, radio represented a nightmare. Every pause became impossible to hide. Every struggle became public. The experience was deeply distressing. Yet it also marked a turning point. Afterward, Bertie began working with an Australian speech therapist named Lionel Logue. Their relationship would become one of the most famous partnerships in royal history. Logue's methods differed from many conventional approaches of the era. He focused not only on speech mechanics but also on confidence, breathing, and emotional factors. Perhaps most importantly, he treated Bertie as a person rather than merely a patient. Progress was gradual. Very gradual. There was no miracle cure. No dramatic overnight transformation. Instead, improvement came through years of practice, trust, and persistence. Some days went well. Others did not. But Bertie continued working. Again. And again. And again. At the time, none of this seemed likely to alter the course of history. Because Bertie still was not expected to become king. His older brother, Edward, remained first in line to the throne. The future appeared settled. Then everything changed. In 1936, King George V died. Edward became king as Edward VIII. But a constitutional crisis soon emerged. Edward wished to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee. The issue created serious political and religious complications. After months of controversy, Edward made a stunning decision. He abdicated the throne. Suddenly, the responsibility of kingship fell upon Bertie. The shy prince who never expected to rule. The man who struggled with public speaking. The individual who spent much of his life doubting his own abilities. Now he would become king. The moment terrified him. Historical accounts suggest he viewed the responsibility with a mixture of duty and apprehension. He understood what the position demanded. A king could not avoid public communication. A king had to address the nation. And Europe was entering a dangerous period. Upon ascending the throne, he became George VI. The name symbolized continuity and stability during uncertain times. Yet stability would soon be tested more severely than anyone imagined. Across Europe, political tensions escalated. The rise of Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany threatened international peace. Diplomatic efforts struggled. Warnings increased. And eventually, in September 1939, Britain entered World War II. The nation needed reassurance. Leadership. Confidence. And the king would have to provide it. One of the most significant moments of George VI's reign occurred when he delivered a radio address announcing Britain's entry into the war. The stakes could hardly have been higher. Millions listened. Families gathered around radios. Citizens waited anxiously for guidance. And the king who once dreaded speaking prepared to address an entire nation. The speech was not perfect. It did not need to be. What mattered was something else. Determination. Listeners heard a man working through difficulty rather than avoiding it. A leader confronting his own fears while asking the country to confront theirs. That authenticity resonated deeply. Throughout the war, George VI and his wife, Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, became important symbols of national resilience. Unlike some who suggested leaving London during the Blitz, they remained in the capital. They visited bomb-damaged neighborhoods, met civilians, spoke with soldiers, and demonstrated solidarity during difficult times. One famous episode occurred when Buckingham Palace itself was bombed. The royal family escaped unharmed, but the event carried symbolic importance. The monarchy was sharing the dangers faced by ordinary citizens. Afterward, Queen Elizabeth reportedly remarked that she could now look the East End in the face. The sentiment reflected a belief that sacrifice should be shared. As the war continued, George's confidence gradually increased. His stammer never disappeared completely. But he became more effective as a speaker. More comfortable addressing the public. More secure in his role. The transformation was not from weakness to strength. Rather, it was from self-doubt to perseverance. That distinction matters. George VI did not become respected because his challenges vanished. He became respected because he continued despite them. People saw courage not in perfection, but in persistence. When the war finally ended in 1945, Britain emerged victorious but exhausted. The nation had endured enormous sacrifice. Throughout those difficult years, George VI had remained a steady presence. Not the most charismatic leader. Not the most naturally gifted speaker. But someone who consistently fulfilled his responsibilities. And that earned respect. His health declined during the years that followed. The pressures of kingship, combined with long-standing health issues, took a toll. On February 6, 1952, George VI died at the age of 56. His death shocked the nation. Many citizens had come to view him with genuine affection. The shy prince who once feared public speaking had become a beloved monarch. Today, George VI is often remembered through the lens of his stammer. Partly because it represented such a visible challenge. But focusing only on the speech disorder misses the larger story. The stammer was not what made him remarkable. How he responded to it did. Many people mocked him. Many underestimated him. Some doubted whether a man who struggled to speak could effectively lead. History delivered a different verdict. Because leadership is not measured by how easily someone speaks. It is measured by how they respond when responsibility arrives. George VI never sought the throne. Never expected it. And often felt unprepared for it. Yet when his country needed him most, he stepped forward anyway. Not because he lacked fear. But because duty mattered more than fear. That is why history remembers him. Not as the king who stuttered. But as the king who refused to let his stutter define him. And when one of the greatest crises of the 20th century arrived, the man everyone thought was too uncertain to lead became the steady voice millions needed to hear.